Woo, woo. Hey, what's up, YouTube? Welcome to Play It Painted Live. Once again, we're at a late start. Shouldn't be surprising. I think, even when the family knows, the wife knows that in advance, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm planning it out so that you're gonna be ready by that time." You can forget because of other stuff, but it's no problem. We're just gonna roll with the punches like we always do. Again, I don't really. I think we're beyond the need to apologize for being late because we just were late all the time. So anyway, it's no worries. So for tonight's show, I'm not gonna be painting anything. We're just gonna build. So it's gonna be nice, relaxing evening. We're gonna build some models here. You can see I already have the bases kind of set up, and I'm gonna be building my Saga Warband in preparation for the upcoming Saugust. That's right, Saugust is going to happen in a month. And I need to paint up a new army. It's not that I don't already have Saga armies. It's just that I want to build a new one. Specifically, I want to build a Crusader army for Crescent and Cross. I want to have a process kind of leading up to Saga. So I think what we're going to do is I'm going to work on this army until August, and I'm not sure if I'm when the camera's off air, whether or not I'm going to continue working on this, or maybe we just kind of shelve it until the next time I turn the camera on. So we'll just kind of have to see how it goes. We'll see how the project is pacing, and we'll compare that to my expectations as to when this can be done. So there may be some pip dates on this army, and we'll just take it from there. So what I need to do right now is I've got this plastic cement here, and I'm going to have to clear the nozzle so that I can actually do something with it. Okay, so I want to work on that, and then I'm going to show you guys what we'll be working on tonight. Okay, looks like I got this to where it's spitting out the commensurate plastic cement that we need, because we are going to be working with hard plastics tonight, not soft plastics. And I showed this in one of my previous pip dates, and I'm going to show it to you guys again right now. So I'm building a Crusader army for Saga, and the army is, I'm going to use these Deus Vult models. So I'm going to back up so you guys can see in the full glory here what I'm dealing with. I'm going to turn this way. There we go. Whoa. We're just going to have to deal with that way. So Deus Vult, these are foot sergeants, and I bought this at my LGS like a year ago, almost a full year ago, when these were in the 60% off bin. You can see they retail for $50. So 60% off of $50 is $20. So $20 for 48 miniatures is pretty good. We're talking less than 50 cents per mini. And so these are the foot sergeants, and these are going to form up my warriors and possibly my levies for the Crusader army. I'm probably going to just keep them as warriors because they are kind of armored. They're a little fancier than your typical what your levies might be. Okay, so the plan is I'm going to build half of these. I'm going to build 3 units of 8, and one of those 3 units is going to be a unit of crossbowmen. So let's see, I have looks like 8 bodies per sprue. So if I do 3 sprues, 1, 2, 3 sprues, then I should be good to go with warriors. So here's my plan. 3 units of warriors, 1 unit, you can have a max of 1 unit with crossbows. So I'm going to do that, 1 unit of 8 warriors with crossbows, and then I'll do, and then I will make some Hearthguard. I don't think we'll get to making the Hearthguard tonight. We'll just see how we go. I'm going to need some tools. So I got my sprue cutters. I've got a hobby knife, and then I've got a file. So we're just going to start by gluing some bodies to these bases. And you can see I kind of laid out the bases here in terms of how I'm going to do it. I need to build a 6-point army. And in Saga, you get a point, you build points in the following manners. Hearthguard, which are kind of your elite units, are worth 1 point for 4 Hearthguard. Or that same point will buy you 8 warriors, which are kind of the midline, the bulk of the soldiering part of your force. Or 1 point will buy you 12 levies, and levies are really just kind of the trash, the cannon fodder, conscript type members of your warband. And so you can see you can actually build yourself an elite army by fielding lots of Hearthguard. You can build yourself a rather large, like horde style army by taking lots of levies, and each army kind of has its benefits. Now with Crusaders, I do see a fair amount of benefits to taking a unit of levies. However, I don't know if I'm going to build one. I'm not, for Sagist. I don't know if I'm going to build a unit of levies, or if I'm just going to build this army as I originally intended it. And then if I really want levies, I have those plastic, those generic plastic warriors that I built a couple years ago. I'll probably just use those as levies. I'll just throw 12 of those together because those do look a little more, they're Dark Age, so they do look, they look a little more, what's the word I'm looking for? They look a little more rank and file. Okay, so let's start by clipping off some bodies here. What's up, Tori? How's it going? See you hopped in the comments. So yeah, so the plan for tonight is I'm gonna build stuff like this, and we're gonna ramble while we're doing this. So let's get this started. And tonight's ramble is gonna be about public gaming. I mean, we are what I consider our normal schedule here at Play It Painted. We are at basically the tail end of the convention season. Comic-Con really being the last of the large conventions that we do, the team conventions that we do. So, for us, this is the end of convention season. And this is the time of year, really, that we take stock of what we're doing at Play It Painted, what we want to do in the next year. Do we turn it up? Do we turn it down? Veil of Darkness, what's up, man? What's up, Cameron? Welcome to the show. Thanks for tuning in. So yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about that. Dude, Cameron. So you guys are back on the plan, or at least posting more of your Warmahorde stuff. Did Chris really get into Ret, or it seemed like he kind of took a turn back over to Crix? I saw him building some Ret, and I was like, oh man, should sell you guys my Ret. I am selling my Ret army. Actually, I'm selling a lot of things, so that's part of the plan for this summer. Is I'm doing a pretty massive sale on my miniature collection, and possibly even terrain and that kind of stuff. I just need to clear out. I just need to clean up. You kind of, when you feel like your life is a little too cluttered, and you kind of need to move on to the next chapter of your life. This is a very normal thing to kind of shake loose the old stuff and get rid of the old stuff. And as much as I love painting miniatures and playing games, I don't really need to keep, I don't need to keep all the stuff I've got. And I am talking about Saga too. I mean, I have too much Saga stuff, and I want to build this army, but then I don't want to make new room for it. I'd rather this replace one of my other Saga armies. So I need to sell at least one Saga army. So we'll see how that goes. Hello from Virginia. What's up, David? Thanks for tuning in as always. Yeah, he jumped into Rhett. He plays Rhett, Cephalix, Kador, and Legion right now. I jumped into Crix. Oh, you're playing Crix. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, if Chris wants it, I don't know if Chris is interested in like if any of my Rhett, but I'm probably going to end up putting the rest of it on eBay. I had previously sold my Griffin spam list that I never played, by the way, but it was fun to paint. And I sold my Pirates, which I played like twice. And what else did I sell? I don't know. I've been selling a lot of stuff. Infinity, been selling a lot of Infinity. And it's another one of those games. Like Infinity has really cool models. It's fun to paint, but I gotta be honest with you. There's playing it is just mildly, for me, it's just mildly entertaining. I wish it was a little more interesting, or at least a little more lined up to my own preference in miniature games. So David Luff's playing Menoth. Hey, that's where Cameron started, right? You were playing Menoth for a while. I still see you posting pictures of your Menoth stuff, which is cool. So, all right. So this unit here is going to be the crossbowmen. So I'm just going to glue these to these 25 millimeter, basically Infinity / GW round bases. Here's a funny for you. I could use these in Age of Sigmar. Ha 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 ha. Yeah. I don't really have comments on Age of Sigmar. Age of Sigmar has been the most popcorn for me all summer long. Just kind of seeing the fallout from that, seeing the mad gamer controversy. If I were British, I'd call it a controversy, but it's controversy. And I kind of have two minds about it. And again, take this from somebody completely ignorant of Age of Sigmar. I haven't touched a game of Warhammer Fantasy in maybe, like, I'll say it conservatively 7-8 years. It's been that long since I've even bothered with Warhammer Fantasy. But anyway, so Age of Sigmar comes out, and then there's that very public, hey, this guy burned his army on YouTube or whatever in protest, and a lot of the quote unquote competitive players were mad about Age of Sigmar. And there's a part of me that goes, you know what, I can totally understand, because for me, old timer like me, I remember when I was my most upset with GW was when they went from 2nd edition 40K to 3rd edition 40K, because that was a huge jump. That was a huge jump, and from how I understand it, Age of Sigmar, or I call it Rage of Sigmar, is also a huge jump, not just in terms of the rules, which I've heard some really horrifying things about, but also, obviously the fluff, because they threw the whole old Warhammer universe in the trash. So I can kind of feel where the veteran, the hardcore fans are there, but at the same time, I don't. At the same time, I don't. I don't. I mean, the other rage moment I had was Malifaux going from 1.5 to M2E. So, I've had my moments, right? I've had my moments. They've been public moments. So I kind of feel for the guys, but at the same time, it's like, hey, that's just gonna happen from time to time. Let's see. Meme Hammer, Age of Sig Meme. Yeah, I want to play AOS, but I don't want to give GW my money. It's so stupid. It's fun. At least that's what I read in 4 pages of rules. Yeah, I mean, from what I understand, it's really, they make no apologies about it just being kind of a, throw your miniatures down on the table. Who cares about balance? Throw them down, roll some dice, have fun, laugh at shit. But the thing is, that game, played in the right atmosphere, in the right understanding, is going to be fun. I liken it to In Her Majesty's Name, right? In Her Majesty's Name, the what I tell people is, if you're actually trying to like seriously win the game in a hardcore gamer manner, like tweak your list so that it wins, or like play heavy um, strategy, then you're not really playing in the spirit of what IHMN is. IHMN is designed to build a narrative. It's designed to build these weird cinematic moments of the pirate captain firing at the doctor squid. It's supposed to be stuff like that. It isn't when you're finished playing a game, and I can only use IHMN because that's really my only point of reference. Um, when you're playing a game of IHMN, the idea is to be able to walk away from the game and go, that was really hilarious how the core, just stomped all over Scotland Yard. You're supposed to make statements like that. You're not supposed to make statements like, "Oh my God, I needed a 6 to hit because of his armor, but then I used my arc generator and that made it a 3, and then I hit him and we won the game and it was so strategic." That's the wrong way. And again, talking to the designer of the game, Craig Cartmel, that's not the spirit of the game he wanted to create with IHMN. He really wanted this miniature gaming experience to be about narrative, to be about cinematics, and I get the same impression with Age of Sigmar. I think it's more of a kind of like a bunch of neckbeards taking their shirts off and swinging them in the air and being like, "Fuck it, we're gonna play. We're gonna put all our dragons on the table, and you're gonna put all your punchy shoulder pad mans on the table, and we're gonna see who wins." That's awesome. Like that's what I agree with you, Cameron. I do I want to play that. I don't, and I also agree. I don't want to give GW any of my money. So hey, I'm building this Saga army. Why not? I can use these as whatever, Bretonians or Empire or whatever the hell I want, right? So that would be cool. I don't know. Again, if it would be it would have to be one of those spur of the moment things where it's like, hey, you got these miniatures, you want to try Age of Sigmar, and I'll be like, yeah, fuck it, I want to play. And then you kind of find out how uh, you find out more about the person you're playing against, because if you put this, let's say I put this down, right? These are all foot soldiers. All these guys are foot soldiers. You could call some of them elite troops or whatever. All melee guys, 1 unit of crossbows. And let's say some guy invites me to play Age of Sigmar with him, and then he proceeds to break out 9 war engines and 12 greater demons or something. Well, then you're not playing you're not going to have a good time, and you're not playing Age of Sigmar with somebody that really wants to play Age of Sigmar, right? You're just playing the game with somebody that just feels like stomping a total noob. And whatever. If he gets his rocks off, fine. But I don't really care for that kind of stuff. AOS is supposed to be skirmish-based game, right? Yeah, I heard it's supposed to be skirmish-based. I don't know. I really don't know enough about the game to be able to answer that. I still have my Dracula-themed IHMN crew. Yeah, man. What I'd love to do, and again, I have such a hard time getting out to Monstory these days. But for IHMN, that's a great convention game because you can set up scenarios. You can set up specific scenarios. So you have a Dracula crew, right? And I'm just talking shit here, Cameron. But let's say I took some Goritzi from Wrath of Kings, the werewolf guys, and we had the Twilight fight. we put together vampires versus werewolves, and just for shits and giggles, just for how funny would that be oh, this is my stats for Edward Cullen, and this is Team Jacob or whatever. That shit would be hilarious. I don't know, it would be funny. And again, that's the spirit of that game. That's IHMN. You're supposed to do wacky stuff like that, and it's supposed to be. That's what I love. I really liked it at Kingdom Con. They did a who's that? David J. Blood did a Big Lebowski versus Attack on Mars, and he used a similar I don't think he used IHMN rules, but he used a similar type of engine to produce rules for that. I like those open source games like that, and they're funny. And I think Age of Sigmar is really about that. I think the people that will really like Age of Sigmar are the people that genuinely, thoroughly enjoy Games Workshop models and want to paint really cool shit, and they only want to paint really cool shit and put on the table, and they don't care, you know. So whatever though, it's cool. Age of Sigmar is okay. We'll see how that goes. But yeah. But anyway, back to this stuff. Oh wait, Twilight. Oh my God, I'm out of there. Sparking vampires. Yes, I know that would be. But see, it would be funny. It would be funny too if you had Edward Cullen on one side, and then you had like Dracula, or my personal favorite, Blackula. Actually, if you did, because my favorite vampires are the black ones. I don't know. It's just me. You can call me racist or whatever, but like my favorite are Blackula and Blade, in that order. I love Blackula. I love Blade. Those are the fantastic vampires. Nosferatu, pretty cool, but for me, it's going to be Blackula. I don't know. I loved the Blackula movie. It was so great. It was just awesome. And I also loved and yeah, I'm a Blade fan. I like Wesley Snipes, man. I liked, yeah. No, yeah, man. Sorry. But I always think of since we're being racial or whatever, which we're not. So thought police, fuck off if you're really going to be offended by this. But anyway, I really love that old Simpsons sketch when they're sitting there watching TV, and they're like, and now back to Blackula meets Black Dracula. And then he had, Blackula and Black Dracula are at they're at like an ice rink, and he goes, they're gonna turn on disco into a hockey rink, and Black Dracula goes, more like a honky rink. and they do that, they do that 70s walk. I thought that was awesome. Okay, I don't know. This is what happens when I'm not painting. We're just all over the place tonight, and yeah, we're unfiltered. I'm just talking shit. Vampire in Brooklyn. I don't know about that one, Tori. I didn't even watch Vampire in Brooklyn. I don't know. I don't know. There was that was during those years, like right around Boomerang, right when we tuned out Eddie Murphy, and he didn't really come back. Eddie Murphy didn't really come back till, in my opinion, till like what's the name of that movie with Steve Martin? Something Finger, right? Bowfinger. Yeah. Bowfinger, and then Shrek, obviously, and then Eddie Murphy was back. But anyway, let's see. Look up Dracula from Billy and Mandy. You should get it. Okay, I'll check it out. Vampire, movie, Love at First Bite. I remember the title, but I don't remember anything about that movie, and I know I watched it. We're just talking about vampires now. I don't know why, but yeah. So, Love at First Bite. What was it? Fright Night, the original Fright Night. That was interesting. What was that? Chris Sarandon was the vampire in that one. And then obviously Lost Boys. I liked Lost Boys. Lost Boys was cool. There's just so many vampire movies. And then, I hate to be a hater, but yeah, Twilight just didn't. Ugh. The only thing I can think about Twilight was it just looked like everyone needed to take a shit in that movie. If you look at the, when there's supposed to be like on-screen chemistry between what's her name, Kristen Stewart and Edward, whatever, they look at each other and their eyes kind of squint, and they kind of crumple their mouth a little bit. It looks like they're like stifling back a shit when they're looking at each other. I don't know. And yeah, I have watched enough of those movies because my wife actually read through the books, and she said, the writer starts off as this really crap writer, and then you see her actually get better. but it's still not very good. It's still pretty stupid. So she read through the whole thing, and then when the movies came out on cable, we watched some of the movies, and I laughed my ass off. So yeah. Yeah, like Cameron, if you're watching Twilight, yeah, when they look at each other like that intense look, they really just look like they're about to take a shit. It's just, I don't know, but anyway, 1979, George Hamilton, Dracula moves to New York City. I have not seen that one, but I think George Hamilton is awesome. So maybe we just screw the title of this video and just talk about movies. Like, especially I love talking about kind of the more obscure movies from, I would say from the 80s and maybe some from the 90s. Jim Carrey, Once Bitten. Oh wait, I did watch Once Bitten. Yeah, this was when he was a very young Jim Carrey, the young James Carrey, and it was like that older blonde lady was the vampire. I remember that movie. That was really 80s. I remember that shit. Yeah. God, there's so many vampire movies. Yeah. So anyway, IHMN is cool. I want to play it again, but I've got to. It's one of those things where it's almost like playing D&D. You want to set up a specific scenario, and then you have a friend that you regularly game with, and it's like, hey, let's do this scenario. The way I see IHMN really working is you kind of, if you really want to have a good game of it, you want to plan. You want to plan a couple of months out, and it would be like, okay, hey, me and Cameron are going to play IHMN in 2 months, right? And you're going to build your vampire crew, and I'm going to build either, vampire hunters, which is kind of boring. I would like to see like something. I would like to see like a team of paranormal investigators fighting like a vampire cult. That would be a little bit more like Penny Dreadful. Now that would be kind of cool. Actually, yeah, that's a great idea. Like if you took the characters from Penny Dreadful and you made IHMN stats out of them, and and then Cameron does his Dracula crew, then you have, maybe Cameron adds Jack the Ripper to it for Penny Dreadful, and who are the other kind of bad guys from that series. That would be badass, right? And then in those 2 months we build those 2 crews, and we put together a basically the streets of London, and you set up a game and you play the game, you photograph the game, and you write a narrative battle report over it. That's awesome. That's the spirit in which IHMN should be played and enjoyed. If you're just looking at, I got to look up the stats, and I got to find out what psychic powers are best, and it would be so good to have everybody on the crew be medic. You're not playing it right. And I think that really translates to Age of Sigmar. If you're going to do something like that, you're not really playing Age of Sigmar right either. So just take it for what it is. So anyway, yeah. So tonight we're talking about, I was intending to talk about the perils of public gaming is what I'm calling it. And I know for Cameron, this is a subject that he has weighed in on, mainly from the YouTube side, because Listen While You Play was one of the channels that I used to watch before I had my YouTube channel. And the funny story was I didn't even realize like Cameron was local to me. But yeah, I mean, so Cameron knows exactly what we're talking about tonight. I'm going to talk a little bit about the difference between just the sheer joy, the enjoyment of miniature gaming, and kind of what I consider to be the double-edged sword of public gaming. It doesn't necessarily have to be miniature gaming. In my case, it's what we do here with Play It Painted. What I did as a Malvo henchman to where I'm now with Ninja Division, and that's the whole business of gaming in the public eye. And when I say public eye, it could be your viewership on YouTube. It could be part of your Facebook or your Google Plus group. It could be your appearance at conventions, at local gaming stores. You're hosting the public events, right? Now, I have always told people that really one of my favorite parts of this hobby, in the past, we'll say in the past 10 years or so, has really been more outreach stuff, right? I really like to teach people gaming. I like to teach people how to play games. I like to share kind of tips with people while I'm building or painting or whatever. Yeah, and that's, for me, that kind of became the hobby. All of this stuff, all this building and painting and learning is kind of precursor to that for me. So that's where it was. And a few years ago, was it 2-3 years ago now, we started the Play It Painted as a kind of a separate label, kind of a separate endeavor. Hey, we would stay and do some public gaming, public events like paint days and Saugust and that kind of stuff. We would still be out at the cons and all this stuff, right? And I hate to just put it this way bluntly, but over the course of those years, you start to assemble critics, you start to assemble haters, you start to assemble enemies, and you start to take stock of the people around you regularly, the other people that are involved in public gaming. And there are a number of facets to this. Like I always talk about what Dreadlun, whenever he puts out like one of his commentary videos on the state of the YouTube miniature gaming community, or miniature painting, miniature gaming community, right? And the kind of the crap that a lot of the folks do, a lot of the big name folks do, a lot of the poserisms, a lot of the stuff that pandering for stuff, trying to get free stuff, trying to just do things solely for attention and not so much for the love of the hobby or for the spread of the hobby, trying to do things specifically for profit. We've seen, again, I'm picking on Cameron because he's here, but Cameron and myself have seen that with these YouTube groups that are out for attention. They're out for like specifically going for sponsorships, and they want prestige and all this stuff. And then when it comes down to it, they don't give a shit about gaming, right? They don't give a shit about gaming. They don't give a shit about the actually trying to do something beneficial for the community. It's gaming is just a means to an end. And YouTube gaming is just sort of a, hey, I can get a lot of attention because I think I'm funny, or I'm a girl. That's what you see that too. And I don't mean that. There's a lot of really cool female gamers and hobbyists on YouTube, and then there's some people that, frankly, just you got to question. You got to question. It's not like you questioned them when you started. You probably watched them for a while, and then after a while, some alarm bells went off, and you're like, hey, what is this person actually trying to do here? Because that doesn't seem right. It seems like their interests are in other areas. So you run into stuff like that on YouTube, for example, and that can get pretty disheartening for if you're doing your channel, you're doing your own thing, and you try to stay out of it, right? I mean, I like my little corner of the world here, and I genuinely appreciate the people that hit the few likes on my videos and leave me a comment. And I try to get back and comment. Sometimes it takes a little while before I can do that. And I genuinely appreciate that. And I like the and I appreciate the people that tune in and want to follow along, and it's cool. And you know what, if they don't follow along, it's still cool, because I still enjoy kind of chronicling what I'm working on, right? I guess what I'm saying is, the camera was off, camera was off tonight, I would still be putting these guys together, and I would still probably be laughing about funny shit that we could be playing either in IHMN or Age of Sigmar. The difference is, there are folks out there that if they turn the camera off, they don't do this stuff. They're not interested in this. They go straight to, okay, how do I increase my views? How do I artificially pump my subscribership? How do I get X miniature company to notice me so that I could get free product from them, so that I can look important to the gaming community, and I can quote unquote be somebody. And yeah, I hate to say it that way, but yeah, you get stuff like that. So that's one part of it. The other part of it is what I'm going to talk about tonight too, which is when you're out there at the shows, when you're out there at or when you're hosting public events. I mean, there's some weird people put together some weird public events, like they're weird, like recognition events or awards, or some. I always get a little. The thing that always sets off my alarms is this: it's when somebody comes in and they try to collect people around them under their own brand or their own banner or whatever. And this is going to sound really weird from the guy that has his own Play It Painted logo, and we have our own events, and we even have T-shirts and banners and all that kind of shit. But just hear me out here for a second. And let me just put it to you this way, okay? Because this is my theory on what these collectivists do. So you have a community, like the miniature gaming community, and that within that community you have some talent. You have people that understand how to do the model hobby aspect of it. So you've got fantastic painters. You have people that really understand the ins and outs of game mechanics, and they can talk up a storm about comparing systems, or how to do well at one particular game. You may have some other people that are just really good, entertaining people that are funny, that are engaging, good to watch. And a good example of that would be like Viv. He's just an entertaining guy. He covers a lot of topics. I can watch Viv talking about gaming. I could watch him talk about brewing. I could watch him talk about sculpting. It doesn't matter. He's just an engaging person. He's fun to follow along with. And then you've got like talented guys like again, Dread Lund. Those guys they're just raw talent. Now let's say you have this community together, and then you have somebody from the outside just kind of comes in and says, "Hey, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to set up my own logo, and we're going to form up an indie alliance, or some, or we're going to make this prestigious club, this collection of super beings," right? And this person or group, it could be people, they put some PR, they put some posturing behind their name and their idea, and they start selling this idea to people. And it's and it seems like a fairly benign idea. Hey, I'm a YouTuber, and I want to increase my viewership, and I want to increase my realm of influence. So why don't I join this dude's group, right? And fly his logo. And by the way, I should make this disclaimer. I am not talking about I'm not talking about Legion of Gamza. I'm not talking about the War Boss Tay painting community, because those are cool communities, because they're a collection of people and they're a collection of talent. But I'll explain the difference here in a minute. Okay, so I'm not really talking about those guys. I actually really enjoy the channels and the content, and even participating in groups like that. I think that's really cool. But anyways, let me finish my my story here. So you got this group of talented people. Then you kind of have somebody just kind of showing up and saying, I know, why don't you guys all join me? And we're gonna, Cameron, you know exactly where I'm going here. So why don't you guys all just join me? And you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make us all famous, right? That's my job. You guys don't really have to do anything other than just be you. And as long as you pay credit to me, you're going to be fine. And when you look at that, when you look at the person organizing it, that sets off alarm bells in my head, because it's like, okay, well, so they're trying to get all these people together, and this person or entity doesn't really have a whole lot to offer them unto himself, other than, I'm going to name it and I'm going to call it something, and then I'm going to cull talent, right? Then I'm going to go after YouTube channels that have high subscriptions, and then just kind of throw my label on there and make it so that I get high subscriptions too. Right? Sorry, I had to stop and get a little drink here. And then and that's gonna grow my popularity. That's gonna grow my quote unquote e-fame. I'm gonna have more influence, because then I can talk to other people and go, oh, look, I've got, you know, famous painter X, and I have famous gamer Y, and I have you know, this and that and that. That's the collectivist person that in of himself really hasn't contributed to anything to the hobby or anything other than trying to unite people under a logo. I get really wary when I see stuff like that. And what's interesting is, you know, over the past couple of years, I've seen some of these start from nothing. And especially like on the local level, they start from nothing, and you know, they start collecting people around them, and those people haven't yet figured out. I figured out in two different instances that, hey, we're just being used here. We're being used for content. We're being used for this person's prestige. And it's like, and I hate to put it this way, but it's like, hey, I feel like I'm working for somebody, but I'm not getting anything in return. Because if this person is trying to tell me what to do, this person is trying to tell me how to manage my channel, or you know, how I can, or what type of public events I should host or run, where I should put my own resources and time into. And really, it's so that they can look better. It's so that they can look better in front of other people. They can look important or prestigious or whatever. And you just got to shake loose of that person. And the thing is, they'll continue without you, because they'll find, if, you know, they want you, but if they don't get you, they'll get somebody else. Somebody else will buy their story. Somebody else will sign up for the thing that sounds really prestigious, with famous guy and his other friend, famous other guy, and they're going to continue on, and you're gonna do your own thing. But it's, if you stay in the public, it's very difficult to get away from these pervasive people. If you were talking to Canvas, he would straight up say, these people are fucking parasites. That's the words. Those are the words he would say. He would say, these people are parasites. These people do not contribute anything unto their own. These people just basically they cull the talent around them, and they exploit that to to their own ends. And I agree with him. There are two sides to it. I agree with him. It's great that there is a benefit to new and upcoming talent getting more views and getting more exposure and all that. But if there's one thing I've learned from YouTube is that if you really do have the chops, you're fine on your own. You're trying to fast track yourself into something, and if you're really great, you're not going to need to. And the other part of that too is if you just really enjoy the hobby, it's not that important to you. So anyway, I was kind of thinking about this, and let's talk about game volunteering too, because it's the other part of this. Game volunteering is a public thing, and in my years of volunteering to support and promote games, I've kind of find out, you come to find out what that volunteer culture is like, and the volunteer culture is a very interesting thing. It's a huge mixed bag of stuff. It was a topic that I've always wanted to do back when we were called SoCal Malifaux Live, and I wanted to do it with a panel, and we never quite were able to get together the people and voices around it that I wanted to get. But yeah, it's interesting. I'm going to get to that in a second. Let me read some comments here. Sounds like the PC of public gaming. Talent headshot. I'm not sure what, like a headhunter. Yeah, similar. I'm actually really proud of the group that have followed LWYP through Fire and Flames. I totally get what you're saying. We have a nice little community. Yeah, Listen While You Play is a cool little community, and really what you have is you kind of have just the diehards. You don't have anybody in there. You have people in there that just flat out enjoy gaming, that enjoy painting, enjoy looking at miniatures, and that's it, right? There's no motive beyond that, and that's really cool. It's a good place to be, and yeah, and I've been kind of looking at that in terms of, yeah, that's something that that I would like as well, and I think in my own way here, I kind of have that myself. So good comment. Yeah, so I'm going to talk about volunteering for a second, and some of you guys watching may not have like formally volunteered, but I'm sure every gamer who has done more than a couple of years of miniature gaming understands the need for outreach, and we understand that no matter what, we all kind of have to be de facto teachers of gaming. Gaming is a niche hobby. There's not a lot of people. It's not like some universal sport or popular video game where people start it up on their own and they pick up an instruction manual and they start there. If you really want to do miniature gaming at your local store, or even if you're trying to put together your own private little gaming group, whether you want to or not, you are going to have to at times teach people how to play your games. You're going to have to at times teach people how to build, assemble, and paint models if that's what you like to do in a social setting. So everyone here, everyone listening to this, we accept that as part of the gaming territory. Okay, that's just another part of what we do for the hobby. And then there's some of us that push that more into an official sense, right? Like, okay, you taught somebody how to play this game, but what I really want to do is I want to teach lots of people how to play this game. And that's when you become a formal volunteer, and you kind of get sucked into this world of miniature gaming volunteering. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And some of the, I guess, the pluses and minuses of my experiences there. So when you first when I first officially volunteered for a company, not just show up at a convention and teach people how to game, because I'd been doing that for a number of years. Like um, back when they had Games Day in um, in the Inland Empire. I want to say that was in Ontario. It was called Games Day LA, but it was actually in Ontario. Back when they had that, my brother and I used to go, and we would host games there. Um, and for no other reason other than we just liked playing some of these weird games. That's always kind of been our thing. Like, if you went to Games Day in Ontario, yeah, they had 40K there, they had fantasy there, but we like to do stuff like we would run Blood Bowl there, which was insanely popular, and we would run. We even ran like some like Necromunda type skirmish stuff there, and we would do that because it was fun for us. That was like kind of what part of what we wanted to do at a show like that is teach people gaming, right? It wasn't until Malifaux that I signed up officially as a volunteer for something, and when I signed up for that, I'd already been gaming for, we'll say, 15 years, I think. Yeah. Um, yeah. Yeah, it was like, well, wow, it was definitely 15 years, a little more than 15 years. And I already had this profound respect for the hobby, and I had this profound respect for um, people who give up, who give their free time to show people how to game. When you're coming from the competitive, fourth and fifth edition of 40K, where people didn't want to teach, didn't want to teach you anything about how to actually play 40K. They just wanted to kick your teeth in. It's like, oh well, here, roll this dice, roll this. You took a shitty list. I'm gonna stomp your face in with it. that was the atmosphere, at least how I perceived it, of like miniature gaming in 40K. And when you ran into the Outriders, the old GW Outriders, when they had those, you're like, wow, this is really cool. This guy's friendly, and he's engaging, and he's talking to new people. He's trying to show them how to get into the game, and he's nice to me, and he actually wanted to know what we're playing, and yada yada, right? So going into volunteering for Malifaux as a henchman, I already had a tremendous amount of respect for volunteering, and it was like, and when I that was a big deal for me. When I made the decision to do that, it was like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I want to be really passionate about what I do, and I want to do it well. I don't want to be a minimum effort type volunteer. I want to be I'm volunteering because this is my free time, and this is my fun, and so I want to do it really well. Maybe for you guys that know me, maybe a little bit overkill. But anyway, that was my attitude. So signed up for that, and it's like, okay, so I'm going to run store demos. So I ran store demos for week after week, and especially Malifaux version 1. Those were some dry days, man. You would be hanging out at GMI or whatever on a hot Sunday. Some people would come by, laugh at you for trying to play a card game with miniatures. Those were some slim times, but you stuck with it. You're like, I'm committed to this. I want to do it. And then your first convention. My first convention, working officially, was OrcCon. So yeah, I made it a big deal. I'm like, okay, I'm going to make sure I have enough terrain. I'm going to run a little miniature tournament. I'm going to give away prize support. I didn't even know that Weird would send me prize support. What I was doing was I would like take extra stuff that I had, and then see if anybody else wanted to chip in, any of the local stores or whatever. And I did prize support that way. But at OrcCon, that was my first show. Like I noticed that there was a different attitude amongst people that had volunteered for gaming and they had been at it longer than I have. They would show up there, they would sign up to do these events. And the one I specifically remember was a guy, a local guy, and who's actually, you know, fairly well known for hosting Blood Bowl, right? So he had signed up to do Blood Bowl at Orcon, and I was like, oh, cool. I know that guy. I've heard of him. I've actually gamed with him once. He's a big Blood Bowl guy. And it's cool to see that he's actually volunteering. He sounds really, really interested in helping out. So he was supposed to do Blood Bowl, and I was just going to walk over and talk to him while I had signed up to do Malifaux. And I was crazy, and I'm like, I'm going to get a hotel for the whole weekend, and I'm going to run Malifaux the entire weekend. And I didn't have to do that, right? I didn't have to do any of that. I wanted to do that. Anyway, the guy that was supposed to run the other event, he just flat out never showed up. Didn't give them any notice, didn't care. And the head of miniature gaming at the time, she tells me, oh yeah, sometimes people just do that. It's shitty. They want a free badge, so they sign up and then they decide last second, oh well, I didn't really want to go to that con anyway, so they don't. So he ends up not running his thing. There were a few people that showed up, wanting to play Blood Bowl, and I was like, hey, sorry, I'm like, I brought a Blood Bowl team in case I wanted to play, but I don't have enough to teach you. And besides, let's play Malifaux. I ended up teaching some people Malifaux, but it stuck with me. It stuck with me. Like, that was one of my first experiences with people that were like, and she put it out there plainly for me. This person wanted a free badge. They wanted a free ride to the con. So they signed up for something and didn't make good on their word. And I took that, probably a little more seriously than I should have. And I was like, that's really shitty. Is that what volunteers do? Is that they're just in it to get something for themselves, and they're going to do the bare minimum, if that, just to get out of it? And I would continue to see that pattern in other shows. For example, the San Diego con that I worked, there was another henchman down there who did virtually nothing. He did nothing. And he wanted, the minute he showed up, he was like, oh, I want prize support. I want my free con goodies. And as soon as I got there to like, hey, I'm going to run some games, that guy just fucked off. He was like, I got my free badge. I got this. I'm going to go collect freebies at the con. And he did that all weekend. And he was scheduled to do a tournament on the Sunday, right? And me and Jake and the other guys had been working the whole weekend, like, because we were fucking crazy, right? So we taught gaming the whole weekend. We had people pumped, excited to play. You remember those days. So Sunday rolls around, and this guy shows up. I've got prize support, which were really from my own points, because I use my points it goes back into prize support, and it keeps the cycle going. So we used my prize support for the tournament. We used my printed packets because I knew this. I was like, in case this guy fucks up, and sure enough, he did. He had no packet. He had no prize support. He didn't have terrain. I had all the terrain, and I was like, wait a minute, which one of us is running this tournament, right? And I was pretty upset about it. I was, why is this guy volunteer? What is he doing? And so you meet guys like that. They're just, I just want my free shit. And then you meet these collectivist people, like I said, that are going to go around and go, hey, Octave, you do this and this and this. Let me make you famous. And to which I do this. I give them the middle finger. They can, off is their direction, which they can fuck. And that's how we handle it. But it's interesting to see in the volunteering side of public gaming. And, I'm going to build this label. I'm going to be famous. I'm going to gather people of talent around me, but I don't really do anything myself. It's just weird, man. It's just really weird. And it's sometimes that it's like, I got to think like in the raw sense of of the word, I have to understand that that some of us that really love the hobby and really want to put it out in front of people, that we're viewed as commodities, and that sometimes people will just kind of latch on for the free ride or whatever, take what they can take, and then fuck off, and or they'll stick around. Even worse, I had one situation where a guy leeched off me for 3-4 years, and when we finally got into it, um, he spent the next 2 years just trying to troll and trying to make me look bad, because he was a spoiled little brat that, like, once he lost what my generosity and my resources, um, he took it upon himself to try and smear me to people, and it was really upsetting. But it's upsetting, but at the same time, it's like I'd been doing a lot of thinking about this, and I'm like, this is bullshit, right? This isn't what I signed up for when I did public when I decided I wanted to do public gaming. I wanted to. I definitely had other. I wanted to stick to gaming. I wanted to stick to teaching people. I wanted to stick to meeting new people all the time and enjoying it for what it is, enjoying that new experience with gamers and that kind of stuff. And for me to get caught up in all this like local drama, local bullshit, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing, and I'm just coming clean and being like, yeah, every once in a while it gets to me, and doing that for a number of years, combined with changing family priorities, being a new dad, um, and frankly, kind of tiring of the scene. That's why you got to take stock at the end of the con season and think, am I going to enjoy this next season? Am I still going to have fun doing this next season? Because um, because it's important. You can't just keep doing the same stuff because you feel it's an obligation. Because eventually, the people that are going to pay are the people closest to you, and so you got that to consider. The other thing you have to consider is this, and I was talking to a friend of mine about this today, that in any type of fringe community, and yeah, miniature gaming is a fringe community. In any type of fringe community, you're going to have the mainstay. You're going to have the casual people that are really nice and fun, whatever, and they're great, and they're around, but you don't know for how long, because for a lot of people, hobbies catch them in transitional periods in their lives. Like a maybe they're a college student who has time in this one area of their life, and they want to engage in a hobby, and they want to have a time sink. And then as soon as school starts getting serious, or they get out of school and they need to start looking for a job, then they're done with the hobby. They're done with the hobby for a while. Another example of that would be somebody in my situation, like somebody that really loved the hobby, then they have a kid. Kid's starting to get older. They're starting to be more demanding of time. You may even, in my case, might even be thinking of a second kid. And it's like, my time with public gaming is a very limited one. And eventually I may just retire down to being a very casual player. So you've got good, healthy people that go in and out. They go in and out of the gaming scene. Cameron has jumped in and out of the public YouTube gaming scene, and we've seen that with a lot of our friends as well. The people that stick around, and not all the people that stick around forever and ever and ever, and they do it till they die, and they're amazing. Perfect example: the Martindales, the press gangers. Those guys are freaking awesome. They're gonna volunteer forever. They're always going to be the best at it, hands down, and it's fantastic. there's those other people, the people that are around all the time, the people that, um, like I was saying at the beginning, the people that have this other motive in mind. Like I need gaming to do something else for me. I don't need it I don't need it as a hobby to enjoy. I need it as a means of profit. I need it as a means of attention or fame or something like that. And those people don't go away because those people stay on the edge of that fringe forever. It's let me give you let me actually show you this in a different type of community, right? Um, so let's take this is a joke I was making earlier. So I own cats, right? And any of you other guys watching right now, some of you guys might own cats, right? Okay, sorry. That's my situation at least. Yeah, you know, you go in and I know you go in and out. You got school, you got your job. It's just that's normal. Healthy, normal people are gonna do that. If you had an ulterior motive in mind, though, it's really weird how that's different. It's like hard to get rid of the bad ones, but the good ones go in and out, and that's just kind of how it goes. And with me being so consistent at this for the past X number of years, I'm be like, well, maybe I must be one of the bad ones. But anyway, so check it out. Let's say I think Cameron, you have a cat, and I've got cats. We like our cats, right? But we don't go to cat conventions. We don't we don't subscribe to Cat magazine. We're not at Cat Fancy. We don't know the famous people in the world of cat shows and who dresses up their cat the best, that kind of shit, right? Those would be the hardcore cat enthusiasts. We would be just casual cat fans. We have our cats, we like our cats, we feed them, we don't beat them, and that's as far as we're going to go. But we're not in the world, we're not in it. But let's say we were. Let's pretend for a second. It's pretty funny to think about me and Cameron being like crazy cat people. But let's say we were. Let's say we loved cats as much as we love this hobby. Like not just our cats, you know, like to the point where it's like, oh, I could tell you that that's an Abyssinian mixed with American Shorthair, or I could tell you that this is a whatever Siamese mixed with the Russian Rex. One of those. I'm just making shit up. But let's say we were really, really hardcore into it, and let's say we got into regular cat shows. Like oh man, are you going to Cat Con at Anaheim next week? Oh, it's gonna be awesome. Did you go to Catopolis in the LA Convention Center? Oh my God, it was huge. Right? Let's say we were just that big cat fans, and we're rocking the circuit and all that. Now eventually, life is going to catch up to us, and Cameron's going to be like, "Oh man, school's coming. I don't think I can make it to Catacon. I don't think it's going to happen." And for me, it's going to be like, "Oh man, I got kids now. I can't even let my wife clean the litter box because of issues with pregnant women and kitty litter." But here's the thing. So we're going to go to those cons, and we're going to run into those collectivists. We're going to run into those same type of, and I'm just going to call them toxic profiteers that would do that, but in the cat world, right? They're like, "Oh man, Cameron, you got some incredible cats. You know how to take care of them. You take great photography of your cats. You have the best cat YouTube channel. I want you to sign up with my label. I want you to be famous with me, and together you're going to make me more influential, and I'm going to give you I'm going to give you a few more, couple more 100,000 subs, because cats on YouTube is ridiculous." Right? Because if you have a cat channel on YouTube, you're already, which I don't understand too. I mean, speaking of which, to bring us back full circle, these YouTuber guys whose motivation isn't hobby, but it's the it's the e-fame or money. Why the hell aren't you guys in video games? Right? Video games is way more profitable. It's probably a little more cutthroat. Maybe you're too ugly or too stupid for video games. Um, but yeah, video games is an idea, and screw it. Make a cat channel if you really want that much e-fame. Make a cat channel. Show pictures of your cat. People get like 100,000 views because their cat, jumped through a tire and ended up in a box. I don't know. I'm seriously talking mess right now, but that's okay. I love Cats the musical. I never watched Cats the musical, which is funny because I lived in Connecticut at the time that blew up in the '80s, and all I ever saw was the little billboard sign of cats. And as a funny aside, my parents hate cats, and I have lots of cats, so whatever. But that's what I'm saying. Like, when you're part of a fringe culture and you're on the very edge of that culture, you're in the public side, and you're near the cool kids of that culture. You have to be careful because there's a lot of toxic shit that happens, and it's not just specific to the miniature gaming community. You see it everywhere. You see it in, you definitely see it in the RPG community. You definitely see it in the video game media community, and you see it and you do see it in the cat community. I don't know who those people are, but I would guarantee you that there's some crazy, like, people trying to profit from going to cat cons and let me assemble a super team of independent cat fans, and I'll be the most famous cat person ever. Jackson Galaxy. How do you guys feel about him? Have you guys ever watched that? My Cat from Hell. Jackson Galaxy is a weird dude, but I don't know. There's times where I'm like, oh, that's really cool. The other times I'm like, man, you crazy. So I don't know. Anyone? Jackson Galaxy? No Jackson Galaxies fans out here? What are we talking about anyway? But okay, so that is the danger of public gaming. That you are bound to run into people that will try to take advantage of you, will try to exploit what it is that you do for fun and for love and for enjoyment. And if you get caught up in their drama, if you get caught up in their mess, you can end up just ruining your own enjoyment of this stuff. And after a few years of this, I really have to take stock of me and do I really want to continue some of this public activity? Now, I'll tell you straight up, though, there's going to be stuff that I continue to do because I love the hobby. I'm going to continue to do it, and I will continue to do public stuff. I need to think specifically about which public things I need to do or that I want to do, and I want to make sure that time away from my family and potentially money away from my family is going to be worth it. I don't want to pay to go to a con, pay money for a hotel and for parking and food to go to a con where I'm going to be surrounded by people that I don't like. And in the gaming community, sadly, the local community, you'll collect people that you don't like, no matter how nice you are. Some of the coolest people I know in gaming, some of the people that's like, how can this guy have beef with anybody, or how can anyone have beef with this guy? He's the coolest person on earth. Those people end up with enemies because they're just shitty people out there, and they want to do shitty things to you, and they want their shitty way, and you're like, no. So I think the profanity filter is off for tonight. I think I've dropped more profanity tonight than in like the past, we'll call it 6 weeks of the streams. But want to talk about too. Okay, I'm gonna eat a cookie because that's what I do. Sorry, I'm hungry. I'm gonna eat a cookie here, and then I want to talk a little bit about this channel and what I want to do with the channel, and what my goals are for the channel. So sorry for the crunching. In fact, I'll take my headphones off so you guys don't have to hear this because it's annoying. If you guys have comments or anything, I'll read those. So. All right. Okay. What? Eight. 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 Cut beef. I have some broccoli. You know what I had today, which is my favorite Chinese food? I had walnut shrimp. Okay. Now, walnut shrimp terrifies people. Some people that when they hear the ingredients, they think it's terrifying. Here's what walnut shrimp is. It's basically you take some fried shrimp, butterflied shrimp, and then you cover those shrimp in kind of a mayo honey glaze, right? And then you add candied walnuts and broccoli to it. And okay, so those ingredients sound terrible, but trust me, when they do it right, it's amazing. And there's this place by my work, this tiny little Chinese shop, and here, okay, racism alert, trigger warning, trigger warning. That's funny. I go to this place and immediately had a good impression of it because I saw the husband, the Chinese dude there manning the wok, and the wife was there cooking and helping customers alongside him. I'm like, good Chinese food is made by good Chinese people, because some of these other places you don't really know who's making the food, and it's not. Yeah, and I've had bad experiences with some of these other places. But anyway, yeah. What do you think of honey walnut shrimp? I use it as a benchmark when I go try out new Chinese places, right? So, yes, and I'm that fucking nerd. I have benchmark dishes that I use when I'm, like, for example, if I go to Thai places, it's very easy. My benchmark for Thai places is I got to try their pad Thai. If I like their pad Thai, then usually I'm going to be okay. In the case of Chinese food, walnut shrimp. Try it out, you guys. Try out, like, it may be listed under chef specialty in some of these Chinese places, but try it out. Trust me, when you have good walnut shrimp, it is great, and you're going to keep going back to that place. When you have bad walnut shrimp, it's just going to look a little weird, and I'm going to apologize. So, walnut shrimp is awesome. Just depends on where you get it. Exactly. Yeah. It depends on where you get it. But yes, walnut shrimp, awesome. So yeah. I had to have a cookie, so sorry, not sorry. I had a healthy cookie that helps. It's one of these Belvita biscuit things, with a little dried blueberry in it. And those are tasty. But yeah. But yeah, walnut shrimp is awesome. Boba. I'm a boba fanatic. Absolutely love boba. Sake. You guys know that I'm a big sake fan. I'm not a fan of seafood, but it sounds amazing. Okay, fair enough. Um, yeah, walnut shrimp is fantastic. Not all Chinese places have it either. And when they don't, that's like a warning sign for me. Uh-oh, they don't carry walnut shrimp, something's wrong. Um, the other thing is when you go into a Chinese food place and you have to ask for chopsticks because they don't set out any for you, huge warning sign for me. Like I get that immediately, like, what is going on here? Uh, funny story, my wife and I actually got up and left a Chinese food place because they didn't set chopsticks out. And when we asked for chopsticks, they kind of fumbled around looking for some. And we're like, okay, we're done here. Um, I know. Is that wrong? Are we being chopstick snobs? I don't know. I don't know. It's just a warning sign. Just people that it's a cue that, hey, maybe these folks don't take their Chinese food seriously. And it's so easy to find bad Chinese food. It's really hard to find good Chinese food. If you want to find the really good Chinese food, you gotta do a little research. So, yeah. Anyway, so let's talk about this channel for a minute because I have a recurring issue with my channel. Okay, and that issue is when I go to cons and I do stuff out in public, I can never ever get good recordings of it. I have. Let me show you guys something. This is going to be really shitty because it's video in a video. But here, let me show you guys this. Dang it! Here we go. Okay, so this is video. This is just raw video of me after hours, about to do some after hours gaming at the Geek Chic Lounge during Comic-Con. And so I just got this like little bit of footage of me walking around. Hey, what's up, YouTube? Welcome to day 1. I don't know if you guys can even see that, but here you go. So I'm just walking around, right? This is about a minute worth of footage. We run into the famous Agent Scully. Where'd she go? She's going to show up here in a minute. There's this cool little lounge here. There's like Supergirl singing on a piano. There's Agent Scully. Say hi to my YouTube fans. Yeah. Anyway, okay. So I got like little moments of the con like that where I just recording off moments because when I'm gaming or when I'm teaching gaming at those cons, I'm so busy I can't. Obviously, I'm not going to turn the camera on. I'm like, hey, let me teach you how to play Super Dungeon Explorer. Let's record it. That's just not going to go over very well. And so the problem that I have on my channel is I have all these little bits and pieces, right? It's I call it snout. Okay, so if you Dave Chappelle fans of the old Chappelle show know what I'm talking about when I use the word snout. Dave Chappelle used it in terms of when you're talking about the parts of a pig, you're going to have the good parts of the pig, and then you're going to have the parts of the pig that usually people won't eat, just kind of the leftover bits. He referred to those as snout. And when he did his kind of like odds and ends type show, he called it snout. That this show is full of snout. I have adopted that term. I've been using it for 7-8 years now. Snout to mean anything that's just sort of the odds and ends or the less desirable parts. For example, this has been a annoying summer for us here in the home, so we call it the summer snout. And I have all kinds of for my YouTube channel, I have all kinds of just little bits and little bits and pieces of stuff that I've recorded that they can't really find their way into anything, right? Like me walking around the Geek Chic Lounge like that and getting ready to have a beer and game with Agent Scully, that's not really upworthy material unto itself. It's just not enough there. So my question is, like, what what should I do with that? Should I just throw it away? Should I put together a series of snout clips and just have a mini series, the Summer Snout? What should I do? And looking at the types of activity that we do on this channel in the future, what can I do to kind of bring you guys more into my world here? I know it's a terrifying thought that I'm going to invite you guys into my world, because it's not that exciting, but sometimes it's funny. I've got I usually have at least once a year we do Ren Fair footage of catching drunk people at the Ren Fair. I don't know. That's a regular thing here at Play It Painted. We're always going to probably have that. But I mean, in addition to this weekly live feed, what else should I be looking to upload? I do need to. I still want to put together a full tutorial for Super Dungeon Explorer Forgotten King arcade mode. Now that is easy to do. I could probably film all that in one night, break it up into segments, and start uploading that. So yeah, that's something I can do. But I'm going to put it out to you guys there. I mean, what else do you think we should do around here? And are clips like that interesting to anybody? Does anyone want to see any of that stuff? The old yeah, I took some footage at Comic-Con. I have a few minutes of me walking around AX in the morning before the show starts. It's not that exciting, but I don't know. Do you guys want to see the snout clips or not? So putting it out there. I do now, regardless of whatever shows I do next year and however many paint days I do next year and all that, I still enjoy this channel a lot. I still enjoy turning on the camera, just talking out into the ether, reading some comments. But there's some stuff that I would love to have. I don't know if I can have it though. For example, for this show had originally began as more of a panel type show, right? Back when it was SoCal Malifaux Live. It was me and my friends, and sometimes we had some really set topics and set discussions, and that was really fun. And with multiple people on, you can do that more easily, because if I'm busy painting or somebody else is busy painting, somebody can pick up the mic, somebody can pick up the slack and start talking. Also, the show becomes more conversational, and I've had Cameron on the stream a bunch of times, Tin Man. I've had Viv on, Painting Clinic. Had people on the stream, and that's always been fun because it's a little more conversational. The last guy on was Justin Borges. That was cool when he was on, because we were able to just talk and whatever. And I want to do more of that. But here's just full disclosure, guys. I think that I actually need a host. It's a weird request. I think I actually need a host, somebody to kind of keep the show moving. Maybe somebody that's not even painting, but maybe somebody a little more, somebody that can continue, that can talk the talk and keep the conversation going, and somebody that might have interesting things to say. That would be fantastic. I would love it for this show, but does it, but let's be real here. If I had such a person, why wouldn't that person want to just make their own show? I mean, frankly, I should be a guest on their show, right? The only advantage I have here is, my established viewership, and the fact that I'll always be doing something hobby. So if they really wanted to do, and the Play It Painted Live type association with the channel, so it's like I want to hire somebody to be the MC / host of this show, and kind of like how they do other like podcasts and shows. For example, like if we're talking, um, and I'm just throwing out these aren't specific influences, but like Joe Rogan or Howard Stern, that kind of stuff. There's always multiple people, at least like Joe Rogan and another person, and they're having a conversation about something. Or same with Howard Stern. I It would be cool if we could do something like that. I could understand the difficulty in trying to get a host on here to converse with me and I'm basically offering them nothing really. Um, but maybe, I don't know, if it's a local guy, be like, hey, I'll paint a few miniatures for you. If you get on my stream and bullshit with me for a couple hours a week. Um, I don't know. What do you guys think? I don't know. I definitely am going to continue to turn this camera um, on a regular basis and just do my hobby in front of camera. But what do you think about actually turning this into a more conversational, a little more topical show? I can't do that by myself because I can't do that by myself because I want a hobby. It's like my main goal here. I want to engage in my hobby and talk at the same time. But I'm just putting it out there. Tori says maybe make a second channel for snout stuff. Yeah, I could. I actually have the Octave Allard channel, which is not a public channel. I just put like I put like more private stuff on there, more family stuff on there, and it's not a lot that I put on there. So I do have that second channel, but I don't want to. I don't want the. I don't want the work of doing a completely separate channel for stuff that frankly is at least somewhat related to the hobby. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll just start throwing up some snout clips, and I just don't want to annoy people with like, oh, I should watch this, and they watch it, and it's like 3 minutes of me walking around in a square pointing at merchandise at AX. That's not going to be exciting, but to a few people. So anyway, stuff to think about. Ooh, should I do spears? They're pretty cool spears. Should I do a unit of guys with spears or no? Well, these are Crusaders. I guess I could. I just get worried about spears because they snap, and although these plastic spears look pretty good compared to the I don't know. They're a little flimsy. I don't know. Hand weapons are cool. Let's just do hand weapons for now. I always have 24 other guys that I can do more stuff with, but yeah. And besides, it'll make it easier once I'm doing like shields and all that stuff. Oh boy. So yeah, this is functionally the end of our year for Play It Painted. We still have 2 large-ish major events, and I'm not counting Paint Day. I've got Paint Day coming up in a couple of weeks. Hope you guys come out for that. That's cool. That's just going to be us hanging out and painting, and that was really fun the last time we did it. Just getting together and painting is really fun because it's this, but you're just doing it with me live, and you can ask me shit, and you can show me what you're working on, and we can bounce ideas off each other, which is cool. Let's see. If you wanted to be a talk show, then you have to branch out to those who might want to be those guys you were talking about earlier. Good point. Well played. Good point. If I wanted to ham it up, then I got to find a ham, right? True. It's something to consider. Is it worth doing that to this show? I think that's entirely. I think that would be entirely based upon finding the right personality, the right mix of somebody who has that type of charisma, but genuinely wants to just do it for the hobby, for the fun. Um, Most of those guys that I know that are that mix have their own shows or have their own podcasts. Um, it would be cool to get like a, you know, uh, somebody uh, like a what's his name? Oh man, Daniel Sprinkle. That would be cool. I could see doing a show like this with Daniel Sprinkle. I'd have to clean it up a little bit with the profanity because I get the sense that Daniel's a little more of a family guy, a little more PG. Um, if Cameron, if Chris wanted to do something like this, I could see that happening. That would be fun. But frankly, I'd rather him and you do that. So that would be better. Um, you know, Tin Man XL, he does that, and he's got a number of shows that he's on. So yeah, it's difficult because it's like I would love to have somebody like that for my show, but I totally get that those people are going to fall into two camps. Somebody that would be here. Um, oh, geez, that didn't stick at all, did it? Or did I just not glue it? Maybe I didn't glue it. Um, a lot of times those guys have their own shows, or like you were saying, it could be somebody over here just trying to cash in on the huge number of subscribers I've got. It's not a huge number of subscribers. It's a joke. But yeah, good point. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud. I think it would be cool though. It would be cool to have somebody like, hey, I don't really paint. Can you paint my shit, Octave? And I'll talk to you while you're on the show, and we'll just throw our opinions around. I always felt that the show was a little bit better when we were um, conversational, but I think the show, as it is now, is a little more informational, at least regarding the paint, and I can keep this crazy running commentary going. So yeah, take it for what it is. It's oh shoot, tonight. Oh no, I'm good. All right. So these guys. So I got 2 units with hand weapons and shields, and 1 unit of crossbowmen. I'm also going to have to think of my color scheme for this army. Now, if we were looking at the box art, the foot sergeants are all kind of hodgepodge, right? Because they're just kind of the lower class soldiers, and they all have kind of slightly different uniforms. I want to tie them in a little more closely to the Crusader army, and the Crusader army in Saga. They do explain that, yeah, the Crusaders were a much more hodgepodge group of people, type war bands. But what I'd like to do is, for sure, the knights, the Hearthguard, they're going to be uniform. They're going to be have a specific uniform, and I'm going to have to pick the colors around that. But I'm thinking maybe even the soldiers have just a generic color that they use, a generic color for their pants or whatever. Maybe all their pants are the same color, or maybe all of their what are those things called? The tunics are the same color, but we'll see. And then I also have to think about what color. Yeah, is this like is it like Balian from Kingdom of Heaven, which is kind of cool, kind of like a Menothy type off-white and burgundy, with a little cross. I have an idea for a color scheme. It might be a little um, goofy looking. No, it won't be goofy looking. It's just gonna look weird, but I'm gonna do it anyway because it'll be fun. We'll see. So let's put some shields on. All these shield arms. How many shield arms are? So Anyway, yeah, perils of public gaming. It's be careful. You know what? What? Why is this? Oh, that's weird. Hold on. What is going on here? Um, this is a right hand. What goes on this hand? It's weird. That's not correct. Let's use other stuff. I wonder what that does though. Anyway, I'm gonna clip off a bunch of these hands. It's kind of relaxing just to, we're not doing any painting, so we're not really doing any precision work, and I can just clip and talk at the same time. I'm also gonna have to pick styles of shields. I do like these really nice shields and a couple of kite shields there too. I do like the nice larger, fancier shields. Those aren't quite tower shields, but they're cool. What color primer will you be using? I will probably. There's two ways I could do it. I could either prime them using the Vallejo Black and Zenithal, which is weird on a historical grade miniature to do something like that. But I want to do it anyways. Because I don't know. I want to do it anyways. It may not work, but it's okay. That's the beauty of painting. Or I can just go with like a standard black. White would be cool if I was using the old techniques. Like last year, around this time, no, not last year, 2 years ago around this time, when I was working on Saga stuff, I would prime white because that would allow me to do, all the wash techniques and all that stuff that I was big on at that time. And I can paint these pretty quick. But yeah, I really think I am going to just end up doing like a Zenithal prime so that I can get away with specific colors. Good question. I don't know. I mean, I could. The Vallejo gray primer is almost like a white, so that's an option as well. Let's glue on some arms here. I think these are way better quality than the War Games Factory stuff that my other plastic Saga stuff is made from. I think this stuff is really good. Now, if I wanted to do levies, I guess what I could do is just not put shields on them. And I can just do hand weapons and no shields. But I also appreciate that the arms are not, you don't have to put a shield on them. Like I could make a Blood Bowl team out of this. Right? Because I don't have to put a shield on the shield arms. They're pretty good. The other kits, a lot of times the arms are like they're either pegged or they're flattened at that part to accommodate a shield. I don't necessarily like that. So anyways, let's see if I can get through painting, not painting, but assembling up the warriors, and then I can glue the heads on, and then we can call it. The rest of this is going to be putting together the Hearthguard, and those kits look awesome because let me show you the box for this. So Templar infantry, you can see they have those sick hoods. They got nice, the large shields again. They've got chainmail armor. These guys are badass. Several weapon options like spears, swords, axes, maces, and crossbows are included. So I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try to do 2 units with heavy axes, because I want to do heavy weapons. I wonder. The curiosity's killing me. I want to look and see if they have those big like claymores. Oh man, if they have two-handed swords or bigger battle axes, I'm so down. It's gonna be awesome. Are you going to paint tradition uniform or your type of uniform colors? Yeah, I don't know, man. I may actually break off and do something really weird. It may piss off some of the more historical guys. So sorry for you guys that are a little more traditional. I just, I got to put my own little slant on this stuff. Yeah. So we'll just plugging along. The faces look way cooler on these than on the Wargames Factory ones. And they don't have those giant stork necks the way that Wargames Factory has. That said, though, the Wargames Factory kits are they're good money. They're good for the money. The Perry plastics are also really cool too. I like those as well. It's been a while since I've painted these more historical grade miniatures. And I've been painting so much like sci-fi infinity type stuff. It's going to be interesting to see because I'll probably just carry over some techniques that I learned painting those onto these, and they're either going to work or they're not going to work. And let's see how it goes. But yeah, looking forward to this. This should be fun. It's always exciting to put together a new army and paint it up, and I'm going to be excited to try this stuff out, especially to try out Crescent and Cross. I've had that book forever and no chance to play it. Usually a piece of cloth was used to indicate member of an army. Uniforms not used until the 16th century. Well, okay, I can do something like that for the warriors, but for the knights, for sure, they're gonna be very uniform in appearance. How many lefties do I need here to finish the job? It looks like 1, 2, 3. Am I missing any? 4. I need 4 more lefty shield hands. Thanks for that, though. Man, I'm still tempted. I am still tempted. Even in light of what you just told me, I am still tempted to do something. Because, well, let's be honest here, that reducing the color palette would make painting these much faster. And at least from some aesthetic sense, people like seeing a uniformed or a more uniform looking army. It's just not going to look, to your point, it's just not going to look right on a saga battlefield. So these guys should probably look a little bit more varied in appearance. And I will definitely make sure like this, this is almost like just padded armor or like a leather armor. I'll make sure that there's a stark class difference between warrior and knight. But yeah, the fun part is going to be also selecting a warlord miniature for this. And I do want to go out there. I am gonna break convention because I want this to be something fun that I paint. Some fun painting for me, and you guys know that I have very specific tastes in stuff. So historical accuracy is going to go out the window. There's going to be some of that because I want to have just some. I want to maintain some of the feel for, Dark Age and Crusader and Crusades period warfare, but at the same time, I got to put my own little wrinkle on this. Agree, knights would be uniformed in their own way to show who they were or their station. Yeah. So yeah, in the same way that you've got the Templars all quite uniform in the box art, I would do something similar there. I really got to know. Let's look at, while the arms are drying before I put the shields on. I'm going to look at one of these sprues from the Knights box. All right, so here's the sprues. Yeah, the bodies are pretty sick. The axes doesn't look like they really have large. I want to do heavy weapons, but I don't see these weapons aren't particularly heavier than what the warriors are sporting. That's kind of a bummer. What am I going to do? Well, the axes on the blades the blade axes look a little bit bigger. I would have loved to have seen two-handed claymores or something. And maybe I'm wrong though about what type of weaponry these guys should be sporting. I could do spears on them, but that's not right. I mean, my intent is to have 8 heavy weapon Hearthguards, so essentially 8 Dane axes for you guys that play Saga. That's what I'd be going for. Anyway, let's start gluing some heads on while this stuff is drying. I don't know. Any suggestions as far as like what I might do to represent heavy weapons? Probably just go with axes. They don't look as intimidating as I'd like them to. We'll see. Yeah, Tori, you have enough for the class? Looking forward to getting back into some Saga. Every time we break it out and play it, we've always enjoyed it. And the scenarios are really fun and narrative. The one thing I would say there's about Saga that I don't like, specifically, I don't like the Pagan Rus battle board. I think it's kind of garbage. And I guess that's it. Pagan Rus, and some people don't like the Yams Vikings because the Yams Vikings are, the whole game is loosely historical, but the Yams Vikings are very, very loosely historical. Very, very loosely historical. So, yeah. All right. There we go. Let's start popping these heads on. But I'm okay with the Yams Vikings. I think they're fine. I don't really have an issue with them. Pagan Rus, though, their ability to summon winter is just a little more fantasy than what most people want from Saga. Not only that, it's a huge tactical advantage to make all units, including mounted units, move very, very slow. And if you are fielding a mounted list like Rus Princes or Carolingian Franks against Pagan Rust, you're in for a bad afternoon. So just beware. But otherwise, I really like Saga. It's super fun. Super fun game. So here's one of the warriors there with the crossbow. So for Crusaders, you can only max out 1 unit of 8 with crossbows, and that's what I'm going to take. Maybe I don't want the Dane axes. Maybe I do want to just have regular units of knights. I don't know. I think Dane axes would be fun though, especially if I put together a unit of 8 Hearthguard with Dane axes. That can really, I think that's really going to mess people up. Does mean I'm a little vulnerable in shooting, but I have at least, with these crossbowmen, I have at least my own units for shooting. Haven't played Saga yet. Yeah, for sure we're going to end up playing Saga because Gareth and Jeff and a few of the other guys will be joining us for Sagast to play. If you want to play Saga, I can see about either myself or Phil can lend you an army to play, and we can teach you how to play. It's a. Sorry, been in and out. Who's the manufacturer? Oh, this is Fireforge Games makes these. If you want to know who is the publisher of Saga, that's Gripping Beast. And by the way, Gripping Beast has been really, really supportive in this event. Phil is the guy that really, he's really, Sagast is really his deal. And he always gets good support for his trouble. Really, I'm just there to kind of support him. So my role at Sagast is going to be really to just act as his main principal support. And if it's an uneven number of players, then I play Ringer. And this is the army I'm going to be playing as Ringer. Last year I played Ringer using the Franks, which is a really, really weird playstyle. These guys are a less weird playstyle, but I want to. If I'm going to play Ringer, I want to play something fun something fun and recent for me. So it's going to be these guys, and then I get to play some Crescent and Cross. If I don't have to play Ringer, well, guess what? I still get to play because Phil and I will probably have our own game going if it's an even amount of players. So suck it, reality. Anyway, let's go ahead and clip more of these. I realize we are at the 2-hour mark, but we're gonna go a little bit over for a couple of reasons. One, I did start the feed late, and two, I want to finish putting together these warriors. So if you have any other comments or anything like that, throw them at me. We'll be here probably another 20 minutes or so. Yeah, David, I actually I'm a little surprised if you don't play Saga. That seems like something you might be interested in playing. It's absolutely a very fun game. There's some parts of Saga that are kind of similar to Warmahordes, but what I really, really like about Saga is the battle board mechanic is just amazing. Okay, so the way Saga works in general, I mean, the core mechanics are really easy to hit, armor, that kind of thing. That part of it is very easy and very clean. And the army lists are really cool because everything is essentially the same. There are differences in army builds and what the different factions can take. But a levy is a levy is a levy. A Hearthguard is a Hearthguard. Even your warlords are essentially the same. This might sound like a bad thing, but for Saga, it's really cool because it really comes down to how well you can play your army and how well you can adjust to a fluid pool of tactics while you're playing. And let me explain that in a minute here, because what are these? There's 10, 1, 2, 3, 10, 20. Okay. Because this is central to playing playing Saga. Oh, you played at Historicon. Cool. So you know enough about Saga to know that being good at Saga isn't so much about what kind of list you can put together, so much as it is how well you understand your battle board, right? Because every army, even though they're composed of very, very similar units and similar stat lines, every army has their battle board, which really determines their playstyle and your ability to. And so every turn, based on the number of units you have on the board, you're going to roll Saga dice. And Saga dice are going to let you perform abilities on your battle board. And every turn you roll Saga dice. So every turn you'll have different tactics available to you. And your ability to master your battle board and keep the situations of the game in your favor is really going to contribute to your success in Saga. And that's really, really fun. The other thing I would say, though, is Saga can really be, it's still really fun. For me, it's still really fun when you lose a game of Saga. I've lost a lot of games of Saga. I'm not particularly good at Saga. But even when you lose, it's fun because, the setting is so fun that a narrative plays out while you're playing. And especially if you name your warlord and you give your war band a little bit of a backstory, it's very fun. It's very, very fun. So I'm thinking about the backstory for this particular war band, and I want it to do with art, which is interesting because this is a religious crusade. So I want to say that maybe this war band this war band is in the service of a wealthy and vain lord who hired an artist to do a picture of them freeing Jerusalem from the from the invaders, freeing Jerusalem and making it once again a safe haven for for the good Christian folks at the time. And I'm going to build around that general idea that these are warriors, these are knights and warriors pledged to somebody who's ultimately devoted to a piece of artwork. So anyway, I don't know if that's going to go anywhere. I might change it, but that's my thought. This is a smaller warband, so it would be under control of a single lord. And this lord may not be particularly pious, but they're vain. So I'm running with that. That will also help explain some of the design around how the knights are put together, what their coat of arms looks like, that whole thing. Yeah, these are so much cooler than the War Games Factory stuff. These are going to be fun. These will be fun to paint. I'm going to put some sand on their bases probably tomorrow night. I'll do that. I'll finish building the Hearthguard, and then I'll put sand on them. And then I have an infinity commission going at the same time, so we'll work on that too. Yeah, these look pretty cool, man. There we go. Rah! Still got a little bit of a tag there at the bottom of his chin. So just file that off. And just slap him right back on. Okay, I need 4 more heads, and then we can do shields, and then we'll be done. 4 more heads. Boop. These look fun. Let's do these. 1. Osprey, a good uniform book series. Okay, I'm sure. Okay, that would be worth looking at. I was Googling images of Kingdom of Heaven. I loved that movie, Kingdom of Heaven. I thought it was fantastic. It received only kind of mediocre reviews, but it was just, the movie was, it's go back and watch it. It's fun. It's epic. It has, I don't know. I found it entertaining. I thought, Orlando Bloom, take him or leave him. It's fine. He's kind of an everyman in that movie anyways. Liam Neeson I really liked in that movie. And the side characters were great. What's his name? Gita, whatever. The douchebag guy, the head of the Templars. I thought Jeremy Irons was awesome in that movie. There's a lot of good performances in that movie. Ava Green is in that movie. It's like one of the first times you see Ava Green. And you guys remember, I'm kind of an Ava Green fan. I think she's weird and kind of sexy at the same time. And who else is in that movie? But a lot of cool side performances. The fights are pretty awesome. Saladin was the character, really neat. Really liked him as well. Yeah, it's just great, man. Just great period. Again, I think of El Dorado, Saracens versus Templars, which is very fun. And so I love Kingdom of Heaven. I'd like to make a Saracen army for Saga too, but I gotta stop making. Stop making armies. The goal is to reduce my miniature collection, not add to it. So maybe I paint these up and sell these after a series, after Fashion 2. I'm probably going to sell those Merovingian Infinity Army. I'm going to sell that pretty quickly as well. All right. I need 16 shields, right? Yeah. So let's start clipping shields. I wish I had transfers for these shields. The boxes didn't have transfers. I know that sometimes the box comes with transfers, and sometimes people get in there and they just pop the transfers out and make off with them. All right. So 4. I'll have 12 of these nice kite shields. Maybe I should do a unit that has the kite shields and then a unit that has the larger tower style shields. 4, 6, there's 8. Yeah, I think I'll do that. Oh, dude, I love Ava Green. Yeah, Ava Green is freaking awesome in if you're watching Penny Dreadful. She's really cool in that. Um, she almost made the most recent 300 movie worth watching. I did not like that last 300 movie. I thought it was garbage. It was just they they could have done fun stuff with it. It just I don't know where they went wrong. It just didn't work. The story was nonsensical. It yeah, I get that they were going for that, Robert Rodriguez over the top style, which is cool, but they didn't do it right. They didn't pull it off correctly, and uh, so I didn't really like that movie. So, uh, yeah. So some film commentary. Okay, so let's do kite shields now. So I'm going to do two, 1, 2, 4, 8 kite shields. I like that these shields are they have no detail on them, which kind of sucks compared to the War Games Factory ones, but these will be easier to put shield transfers on. I just need to find shield transfers. Or I need to make shield transfers. What if I put, just to be a dick, what if I just put like the Play It Painted logo on these shields? And it was like the official Play It Painted Saugist army. That would be pretty funny. People would think, the historical guys would just cringe if they saw that. I don't know. Might be funny enough to do. I guess if I was serious about it, I could like shrink the logo and then put it on the clear transfer paper. Dang, I don't know. It's a thought. I need to watch that. I loved her in Dark Shadows. I still haven't watched Dark Shadows. All right, here we go. 4, 6. Need 2 more. 2, 4, 6. All right. Still working here. I just hope these shields can stick on reasonably well. I had issues with the War Games Factory ones popping off too easily. There's not much of a connector on these either, so that's going to make that even more tricky. All right, let's get to gluing here. See, Tori wants me to do that. Use the Pip logo on the shields. It would be funny. It would definitely cause a few people to cringe. I don't really know. Okay. So that's how it's going to go. It's pretty cool. All right. let's glue these on, and then that's pretty much going to do it for tonight. I'm just going to build these, and tomorrow night I'll put together the hearth guard. Since I'm only putting together 12 hearth guard, that's not going to take too long. Tell you what, these kits are way easier to put together than Robotech. But yeah, that was the last hard plastic kits I put together were for Robotech, and let me tell you, that was not fun. That was not a good day there. Okay. These shields just pop on real nice and easy, though. Much easier than the Word Games Factory. And those even had the little pegs on them. These have nothing, they're just smooth. Change the lettering on your logo to Latin. Hey, that's not bad. Maybe just PIP in Latin? Or the whole word? Should I take the whole words and translate them to Latin? I don't think I can fit the... Well, if I was micronizing it and putting them on a transfer sheet, I could fit, actual words on there. But I got to do something because I don't have a transfer sheet for these shields. And I'm not going to freehand all the, crosses and stuff. I know I can just order a generic sheet of transfers from somebody, Perry, or either Perry Miniatures or I don't know who else. North Star might have one. We'll see. Yeah, almost done. Just got to get the little burrs off the shield. These guys are cool, man. I like them. I like them. It'd be fun to paint this style of miniature again. And yeah, for sure, Tori, we'll play Saga at some point, so you can check it out. It's a super fun game. If you want to watch YouTube videos on how to play Saga, absolutely watch Viv. Rubbish in, rubbish out. He has the best. He has the best tutorial on how to play Saga. Okay, just a few left. And all the warriors are done. Ooh, hold on. Those little burrs are annoying. Is that the okay? So David, you already translated it for us. That's kind of cool. Luder Ilud Picta. That's cool. Now I just got to make a little logo out of that. Replace the text on the. Well, Phil has all the original logo art. Maybe I can get him to make that for me real quick. Then we can put them on the shields here. People will wonder what the hell this army is. Okie doke. So that's gonna do it, man. We're all done. I think they're great, man. I'm excited. I want to. If I didn't have to get up and go to work tomorrow, I would have done the Hearthguard tonight too and put all that together. I still have to put the gravel on the bases and that whole thing. Oh, by the way, just for reference, here's the Wargame Factory shields, which are actually really nice. They're just annoying. They don't really stick on there. So anyway, any last comments or anything before we shut off the feed? I know it's kind of late at night, and I want to thank you guys for sticking with us the whole way. I know that tonight got a little rambly and a little ranty, but hey, that's what happens. So yeah. So I'll give you guys another minute here. If you guys have any other comments or anything, once again, painting up, this is the next large project of mine is going to be this Crusader army. This is a Christian Crusader army for Saga, Crescent, and Cross. So anyway, I think that's going to do it for this video. I want to thank you guys for watching. And once again, I will post some more updates on the channel, just a little 2-minute updates like I usually do, just to track progress on these. So that's going to do it for this video. I want to thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.